If you're from a fan's perspective, I don't know how a fan would get through that, let alone the players, because you're asking a lot of your body. That being said, I think you have to play the game. I don't know how you could have gotten around not playing the game. But it's very unfortunate. But it's a very bad look for the NBA because, not because LeBron. And, some people say, whoa, they're only making a big deal because LeBron. When's the last time you sat in anywhere and it was 90 degrees? I can't. Purposely. When's the last time you sat anywhere and B mentioned, playing outside and stuff like that? And I give props to anybody who plays outside in that heat because, especially here in Atlanta, not only are you dealing with the heat but the humidity, so it could be 95 degrees, but it really feels like the heat index might have it at 105. That being said, these players are so far removed from playing outside or playing in extreme conditions or warm gyms that they're not used to it. So, you're going to have a situation where guys are going to cramp. You're going to have, and like Ken said, from a logistics standpoint, you could legally be in a lot of trouble if somebody had passed out in there. In fact, I know for a fact that there are people in this world that probably would have passed out on purpose just so that they could get, a little check or something from the Spurs or the NBA, because at that point everybody's liable. That is, it's not very good, working conditions. That being said, I'm glad that nobody was injured or anything like that. But from what I understand from people in the stands, like as soon as the game was over, people sprinted out of the arena. People normally take their own sweet time about getting out of there. People got out of the arena, like a bat out of hell. So, that was good that they were able to do that, and nobody was, injured or anything like that. But I can only imagine. I can only imagine sitting through that, and then, 9 times out of 10, you're not coming dressed, to be in the heat. You're probably coming dressed with jeans on and a T-shirt, that type of thing. So you may be in there smoking by the time the game starts. The phone number to call in, area code 646-478-0356. Again, 646-478-0356. You are locked in live to Dead End Sports. I'm your host, 12 Kyle, and once again, this is Dead End Sports. The phone number to call in, 646-478-0356. In a few minutes, we'll have the Google Hangout posted on our website. On Twitter, and we'll tweet it out for you. And if you want to check us out on the Google Hangout, you can do that as well. Now, the next question I have for you guys, obviously, the heat was an issue. It just seems like just about everything was an issue. But I think one of the fallouts from the game was, whether or not this was something that was done purposely. So, Ken, I'll go to you, man. Do you think that there was a conspiracy to play this game without any AC?
It looks suspicious. I will say that. What kept me from going conspiracy was the fact that both teams play under the same conditions. Does one team have a slight advantage because of the lack of AC? Yeah, they do. The Spurs have a lot of players that are international. Parker is on record after the game of saying that, he was fine. He's used to playing in that type of temperature, in his past. Manu Ginobili's from overseas, Patty Mills, Tim Duncan's from the islands. So a lot of them have that experience in playing under those conditions. Plus, they have a deeper bench. But to go conspiracy, I think, is a little far-fetched. In light of the fact that after 12 o'clock, once everything was settled and done and the game was over, the AC started miraculously working again, but that's neither here nor there. That's just a fact that was reported by Brian Windhurst that makes it look even more suspicious. But, nah, man, I think Spo said it best, man. To do something like that would take a great mind to predict that LeBron James, of all people, who has a history of cramps, would be the one affected the most. Now, when you look at that, you look at LeBron James does the most from a physical perspective than most players on the court. He exerts a lot of energy because he's running around on offensive, defense, and he's typically has the ball in his hands more than anybody else. So, but again, I think it just looks odd. But if LeBron finishes that game, we're not having this discussion. It was just really messed up that that it happened, and the fact that they could not fix it. So, and that was the thing that was, that was the part that I could not kind of grasp. Here you are having this nationally televised game. You have a circuit breaker that go out, and you're faced with whether to fix it or delay because you have to get a new part. You just probably have to go without, and for whatever reason, you could not get the part. And what I heard was that it was one of the circuit breakers that controls the flow of the water to the air conditioning, and that was the one that breaks. So, but conspiracy, man, I think that's a little much. That's too far. I can't go that far.
That's why I threw it to you first. What about you, FIFO, man? Do you think there was a conspiracy, a CON conspiracy, to play this game without AC?
No, I don't think it was a conspiracy, and I think the only reason, again, to Ken's point, the only reason why it's even considered a conspiracy is because LeBron didn't finish the game. Win, lose, or draw. If LeBron finishes that, then we're not talking conspiracy. We're simply talking malfunction. Right. So I don't think it was a conspiracy at all. I just think that it was something that happened, and maybe they could have fixed it during the game, but maybe they just let it ride out. So I don't know. I don't fix HVAC stuff, so I right. really don't know. But at the end of the day, look, they lost game one. You know what I'm saying? And let's be honest. This is a series of the best player versus the best team, and the best team got game one. If LeBron goes down, Miami has no chance of winning anything. If one or two guys goes down for the Spurs, they still have an opportunity to win, and that's the difference. LeBron went down, and San Antonio closed out that game as they should, and that's what happened.
No doubt, no doubt. What about you, B? Any thoughts of the conspiracy theory in playing game one without AC?
Yeah, it was a damn conspiracy because the shit started working like less than an hour or half an hour after the game was over. I didn't know. Yeah. The AC was back on after the game was over. No, it was back on and running within an hour after the game was over. So yeah, it was a damn conspiracy. But I mean, no, I'm just man. But no, it wasn't no conspiracy. San Antonio, they just outplayed a LeBron-less Miami Heat team in the fourth quarter, flat out, and they shot 14 for 16. So I mean, San Antonio just shot good. That don't got nothing to do with no damn AC not being on. So no, I don't think it was no. It wasn't no conspiracy. San Antonio just they took advantage of LeBron being out, which any good team should do, and they did. So. I mean, no, that conspiracy stuff, it's just something to get the people talking. It's something to talk about stuff. Oh, well, if this happens, why did this happen? Yeah, whatever, man. It's just something to get the people, the internet, and people trolling and talking about how soft LeBron is, blase, blase. I mean, it's cramps. It happens to anybody, no matter what condition. Right. If you're not hydrating correctly, you're gonna cramp up regardless. I don't care who you are. You can be the most fit person in the world, or you can be the non out of shape person in the world. You're gonna still get cramps. It just happens.
We're gonna talk about that in a second, B. But that's a great point. I agree with you guys. I don't think there's any conspiracy or anything that was behind it. Now I did see that it was some comments made by Jason Terry, who played in Dallas and played most recently with Brooklyn. He said that he wouldn't be surprised if there was something behind it. He said because one year they came to play San Antonio, and there was a snake in their locker room.
Right.
He said, so he said they're good for kind of planning little things like that to kind of shake a team up. I think at the end of the day, this is the finals. The world is watching. It was a bad PR move. I mean, not a bad PR move. It was just bad PR for San Antonio, just point blank. And you also have to remember, too, and I tweeted it during the game, this is almost as bad as the lights going out in the Super Bowl. No, you couldn't. Yeah. It wasn't the same because, the Super Bowl was stopped. I mean, that's never happened. The game was just stopped. And no, like B said, it didn't affect us because we were sitting and watching the game on, on our couches. However, you could tell that there was a difference in the game. You could tell that players were tired. You could tell that think about it like this, guys. It's rare to see any NBA player asked to come out of a game. Even when a guy is tired, he's not going to ask to come out of a game. A coach, especially a star, a coach will pull you out of the game, because they have their rotations or whatever. But, I've never seen LeBron James asked to come out of a game. I mean, he did that twice. Like, hey, come and get me, man. I just can't take it. And, and it wasn't just LeBron, but it goes back to a point that Ken made. When you have heat like that, what happens is that, the team with the D, and everybody knows San Antonio can go 10, almost 11 deep into their rotations, wherein Spoelstra might go 8 or 9, if that, So the team with the deeper bench obviously is going to be able to kind of withstand it a little bit longer. And nobody goes into a game plan thinking, okay, well, hey, this is how we're going to make it. We're going to put the heat on them literally and see how they respond. So I think both teams handled it about as well as they could, but at the end of the game, obviously the most of the talk, almost all of the talk, was with LeBron. Speaking of which, FIFO, what were your thoughts on LeBron James catching cramps in Game 1? Nobody. Okay. Okay. Definitely. Good point. What about you, B? What were your thoughts on LeBron catching cramps, man?
I mean, look, cramps is no joke. If you play basketball, if FIFO can, all of us, you play football, you can attest. When you get cramps, I don't care how good you are, you're gonna stop. It's gonna lock you up. It's your muscles locking up. So it's like, for people to criticize him about him, playing through cramps and stuff. Even Isaiah said, "Oh, I couldn't have played through, cramps." A swollen up sprained ankle is different from cramping up. You can just if your adrenaline up high enough, you can play through a swollen sprained ankle.
Mm-hmm.
I've done plenty of times before on my left ankle before, but cramp, that shit stop your body. It stops your, if your thighs are cramping up, dog, you stopping. You see LeBron tried to play through it. He tried to fight through and play through it, and when he came down again, it locked up on him again. He was like, he waved the crew, get over here, man. I've known. And I play with really good athletes that cramp up, and it just happens. And it's not like it happens all the time. They may cramp up, here and there, every now and then. But when they cramp up, they can be the most in shape, physical person I've known or play with. They gonna sit on the sideline. It's like it happens. It happens to all of us, man. It's just something that happens. You can't. It's inevitable. You can't stop your cramps. When you cramping up, your muscles lock up. When they seize up on you, that's what your muscles are doing. They seizing up on you. Right. So when they seize up on you, you can't do nothing. You can't operate it. So I don't see what the big fuss was. I think it was just a way for LeBron haters to just kind of keep beating the dead horse, and beating the dead horse. And it's like, okay, it's getting boring now, y'all. Stop it. Okay. and mind you, Jordan had cramps, and he got pulled out the game in the game in 1997 Game 4 NBA Finals against Utah. He had got pulled out in the game for having cramps, and people all kept saying, "Oh, when Jordan played through the flu." That's different. When you cramp up, your muscles locking up on you. So, and Jordan wanted to get put out of the game, even though he finished, but he couldn't even go for a second because he cramped up. So, yeah, man, it just happens. That's all. It happens to the best of them. That's how I looked at it. He cramped up. Oh well, big deal. It messed up because they ended up losing the game, which it cost them that. But it happens to the best of us, man. You cramp up, you cramp up. Now everybody just shut up and enjoy this NBA Finals.
Oh, definitely. What about you, FIFO, man? What's your take on it, man? Catching the cramp, man. LeBron cramp.
I think he said.
I'm sorry, not FIFO. Ken.
Man, that was one of the most. You know what? Game 1 and the aftermath of Game 1 is a reminder of why I'm not on Twitter during the finals. Because there's a lot of ridiculous, uneducated, ignorant tweets sent out. The memes and the jokes I get. I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. It's just everybody will receive some of that. They got Parker last night. But the comments and where people are talking about his lack of toughness was a clear indication to me that they've never either played sports or had a cramp playing a sport.
Exactly.
And B, Ralph, they know, man. I used to play with them a lot. My calf muscle would cramp up, and I would rub it out, and get it back together. But a couple of plays later, it's locking up on me again. I'm not a conditioned athlete, and I'm not using nowhere near as much energy as LeBron is, but I understand what it's like playing in hot temperatures with the lack of fluids, and keep in mind that they were not prepared to play in that environment. And that's the other thing that people seem to be missing out of this whole discussion. It's one thing to come to a game and knowing you will play in 90-degree temperature because you will make the necessary preparations to do that. It's another to get there and for them to say you have to play in 90-degree temperatures because now all of a sudden you have to double, maybe triple, quadruple your intake of fluids. And, like people said, when you're an athlete like LeBron and you don't really store fluids like that and you're running up and down the court, you will be affected. And keep in mind, when LeBron went out of the game, he had played the most minutes of anybody on the court. So as soon as I saw LeBron wave in the third quarter and asked to be let out of the game, I knew he was in trouble, and I was hoping that, considering his past, that he would be able to get through this. And unfortunately, he wasn't. But, yeah, man, I think, you have to listen to your body. You have to think that this is a long series. You have to also think that we have Wade and we have Bosch and we have some professionals on this team that can hopefully sustain and maintain this lead against the Spurs and get out of here with the win. You know what I'm saying? Pick me up and lift me up. But, you know, I think that when they saw LeBron go off the court, you know, I don't know if they knew exactly what was wrong with him. Is it a hamstring? Did he pull him up with a tear? You know, I don't know, because it could have been that, you know, because of, you know, his lack of fluids. So, and it put a strain on the, you know, his leg, and next thing you know, he has a muscle tear and he's done, and, you know, the series is over at that point. But yeah, man, I think that people questioning his toughness just showed a lot of lack of, you know, maturity on their behalf. It showed that people just refuse to give this man any type of credit in spite of all of his success. It's just like BZ said, the haters will find something to attack this man, you know, on, and it's just unfortunate. But to sit here and I gotta learn better, like B said, I can't engage in these type of back and forth, because, you know, I was talking to somebody, man, on Twitter, man, and I was like, you know, I tweeted out, B had told me about the 97 game, right? And I tweeted that out, you know, and saying, hey, look, for those of you saying LeBron, Jordan will leave the game, well, yeah, he kind of did. You know, different results, different ending, but he did leave the game. That was the main point of the article. This guy gonna hit me back and be like, well, you know, in high school, I played with a dislocated shoulder and a broken bone under my eye, and I was able to finish the game. And I'm like, okay, you are an athlete, so I'm sure you've had a cramp before. You can't compare that injury to this type of injury. And since you played football, how about this? Marcellus Wiley, an NFL player, said he played with a broken toe, but he was unable to play with NFL cramps. I mean, with cramps. So come on, man. Like, fall back on trying to create these equivalencies between injuries and between your injury or some other injury or a flu game, like B said, and compare it to a cramp. When your body locks up, the two don't mesh. And again, I come back to just the one main thing out of this whole thing that I think is missed. If you've ever had a cramp before, you will know you cannot run on a cramp. Your body locks up. And let me tell you something. I have cramps when I'm asleep and I stretch the wrong way. I'm jumping out of the bed, man, and running through the house. It's serious, man. So, you know, people, it just shows a lot of ignorance on people, and so it's just ridiculous, man.
I think, man, well, I mean, you know, man, 140 characters, man, you don't have enough time to. I mean, that ain't enough time to argue with fools, and we all know there's a bunch of fools on Twitter. And Facebook. That being said, man, I think part of the issue that I had was you don't have to have played basketball, you don't have to play football or baseball. If you played any kind of sport, you know that what it takes to prepare yourself to be in that position. I won't even go as far as to say that LeBron is someone who's had this problem before because he's cramped up. Anybody can catch a cramp. What a cramp is an overworked muscle. I guess you probably have to ask yourself, well, why did he cramp? Well, he probably cramped because he's carrying 13 other guys on his back. That being said, and I'm the last to be I'm not an LeBron apologist, but you know, like Ken said, I get the memes. I get that. That's funny and everything like that. What I have a problem with is people talking and don't, you know, and the criticism was just brutal. Like, oh, Jordan would have done. We don't know what Jordan would have done because I've never seen Jordan play a game with a cramp. You know, one thing I do know about a cramp, you can't play with one. You can play with a broken finger. You can play with a broken toe. You can't play because the cramp means that your muscle says, you know what, dog, I'm not doing a damn thing from this point on. And you could see when LeBron came out of the game, and then he came back in. When he went for that layup and it locked up again, he was done. That was it. And now I will say this much. You know, I understand that with him being a superstar, the face of the franchise, face of the league and everything like that, that he's going to get some criticism. But I'm not going to – and I think one of the big – and we've seen it before, not just in the NBA but in all sports. The last thing an athlete wants to happen is for his body to fail him at the worst moment. You know, that you don't want to tear an ACL in the Super Bowl. You don't remember when we were coming up. I think it was correct me if I'm not. It's '89 when Magic tore his hamstring or whatever. Or tore his hamstring. Couldn't play against Detroit. I think it was either '88 or '89. I want to say it's '89. But that type of thing where your body just gives up on you, and it's, as an athlete, you don't want that to happen. That being said, I mean, I'm not going to criticize somebody for their body shutting down. It happens. It's unfortunate that it happened, because, and FIFO mentioned it earlier, if I'm not mistaken, Miami was up by 6 when LeBron went out of the game. So if you're going to point the blame, and here's what I found interesting. All of the fingers were pointing at LeBron. What happened to Dwayne Wade? Dwayne Wade, your sidekick. You're the guy who you came to play. Keep in mind, LeBron came to Miami so he wouldn't have to carry a team. He didn't. He came to Miami to play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, so he wouldn't have to carry a team. So you, like you said, you would think, especially with and I'm not. We all know a 6-point lead with 5 minutes to go is a 6-point lead is an. I mean, anything can happen with 6 points. You can't. That's not a lead that you can sit on. I'll say this though, Dwayne Wade, 2 fourth quarter points. That's it. Two more than the. If you're going to point to criticism for game 1 at anybody, I would think it needs to go at Dwayne Wade, because he didn't do anything. And I understand, I get it to a degree, because it looked to me like, I don't want to say Miami waved the white flag, but not only did Dwayne Wade not compete and keep playing at a high level, but his man, what's the guy's name? Green hit the 2 3-pointers that blew the doors off the blew the game away. So blew the door off the hinges. So that's the type of thing where your stars got to be stars. And it would have been interesting to see had LeBron not gone out. I mean, we can't definitively say that they would have won the game. But I tell you what, it would be, Heat fans around the country are saying, well, hey, we probably be up 2-0 because they were looking good. Phone number to call in, area code 646-478-0356. Again, 780-356. Let me just throw that out to you guys real quick, and I'll start with you first, Ken. Why does LeBron get the blame for that? And there's no talk about Chris Bosh and, more importantly, Dwayne Wade.
I think people are not exactly sure if Dwayne Wade's 100%, healthy. So I think what happened with him, last year kind of gives him an out. Bosh has so many other different roles. He's not really a focal point on the offense. As much as over the last couple of years, but more importantly, man, I think it's LeBron James, and he's had to endure that his whole career. And if you look at LeBron, man, people have been looking at this guy since he was 15 years old, and he's been. It started as soon as they called him King James, and that was it. And at that point, he has been under a microscope. And every time he's proven himself, people look for something else to place on him to try to find ways to bring him down. And it also has a lot to do with people comparing him to Jordan, to people comparing him to Kobe, to people basically comparing him to the greats way before he even won a ring. And people had some resentment about that because some of these guys are their heroes. Jordan is a hero to a lot of people. Right. Kobe was the next thing they had to Jordan, and he's their hero. So when you have a guy that's unproven that came in the league, like LeBron, who's been basically given this crown and he hasn't won anything, people resent that. And then you throw in the decision, of course, and everything that they've done, just leading up to it. He's a target, and that's just the way it is, man. But he's answered the critics, he's responded, and people just refuse to just sit back and enjoy LeBron James for who he is and what he's doing for the game of basketball. it's really just him. Because Kevin Durant just kind of, he just kind of whimpered out of the playoffs and barely nothing. So and now Kevin Durant is losing $20,000 to the game in a game of horse. That's what he's doing right now. The MVP now. Keep in mind that's the MVP, and he just went out and nobody said anything. But yeah, man, it's just people gave him a ring. People gave him Mount Rushmore before many people felt he earned it, and I think that's why he receives a lot of criticism.
Okay. What about you, B?
People shaking the head. Uh-oh.
Okay, let's go to FIFO then. FIFO, why do you think Wade gets a pass in this case?
I just think that there's a lot of different factors as to why LeBron gets a lot of this negativity, and it's definitely not due. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with Ken's point. I think you have a very valid point. I'm not going to dissect that. But I think that the main reason is this. I think that LeBron is the first superstar of this new social media world. And we are really dissecting LeBron almost play by play. Because honestly, I did that against OKC in the championship, with LeBron. Every play I was tweeting something. And the thing is that when we look at a Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan kind of set the standard for the new era of these basketball players, right? Everybody wants to be like Mike. Everybody grew up on Mike. So he's kind of the standard. And the thing is that we didn't really have such a cemented standard in basketball until MJ.
Right.
Because realistically, Bill Russell won 11. Wilt won a couple. Magic's been the 9 finals. Jordan only made 6. LeBron made it to the finals before MJ. So those type of things don't get any credit. It's just that MJ won 6. He was 6 for 6. And realistically, MJ in the 2 last finals that he won against Utah 2 times, there was games he shot 30%. But the fact that he won, nobody talks about that. So because we talk about Jordan's career in totality, while we break down LeBron's career almost minute to minute, shot by shot, like game by game. And it's because we're still in the moment with LeBron. And it's like you have to look, even if he has a bad game, even if he makes a bad play, look at the game in totality. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, I've been saying it for years. Both Brandon and Ken can attest. Like, I've been saying LeBron is the most complete basketball player for a while. And years ago, I said, LeBron, I think he's better than MJ. Because as a complete, I don't think that there's ever going to be another LeBron. Like, there's never going to be another Mike. There's never going to be another Bird. There's never going to be another Magic. LeBron is that, distinct and unique, and there's never going to be one. And because he was the first one since MJ. You know what I'm saying? Because Kobe was like a carbon copy, and then Kobe, he came into a league where he didn't really have a lot of competition at that 2 guard. Now LeBron, because the way that the NBA has changed, he plays 1 through 5 sometimes, like a Magic. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that he gets a lot of undue blame, and it's more on him than anybody else. But whenever you're a superstar, you take that burden, you take that brunt, and LeBron's been carrying it his whole life. Regardless if he makes the right pass and the guy misses the shot and he gets buried, that's cool. I'm going to still do it. And LeBron has won at every level. You know what I'm saying? So he's won doing it his way. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's a Michael Jordan way to do it. There's a Magic Johnson way to do it. There's a LeBron way to do it. There's a Larry Bird way to do it, because all of these guys are champions. But now one of them did it exactly the same way. And let's be honest, even Kobe, the carbon copy of Mike, still wasn't Mike. He wasn't shooting 50%. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't as dominant as MJ was, but Kobe was great, and all of these great players have their own way of getting the job done. LeBron has his. So grade LeBron against LeBron. Why isn't anybody talking about how great Every year he gets better. Every year you look at his numbers, something improves every year. I can't even say the same thing about MJ. As much as I'm a MJ lover, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can't say the same thing about Kobe. I can't say the same thing about AI. I can't say the same thing out of any basketball player that I have witnessed. Anyone. I can't. I've never seen it before. So to me, that's what makes LeBron the greatest. And I don't think that, again, like when you compare MJ to LeBron, nobody's ever gonna touch the legend of Michael. No, the legend, that legend that he created at the time that it was created, nobody will ever surpass that. Nobody's ever gonna surpass the brand Jordan, all of this, whatever he did for the game, because somebody needed to do that. That was MJ. But now if we're just talking about basketball, man, LeBron's a better player, man. I take LeBron any day over anybody that's ever played the game because he's the most versatile. He's a combination of all of the greats, man. He does something that every single great player can do. That's why I think he's the greatest.
You know what, FIFO, and you just made me think of something, and they talked about it last night on the telecast, and I want to bring it up. When you go back to Game 5 in Indiana, LeBron makes a play to the middle. He starts off on the elbow, comes through the middle. He gets the double team. Hibbert steps up and leaves Bosh wide open for three. Bosh takes the three, misses. Keep in mind the Heat were down 2. They were going for the win at that particular point in time. Bosh misses the three. Indiana survives another game, and they go to Game 6, obviously, and they get mollywopped within the first 10 minutes of that game, and the series is over for the Heat, and they're back in the finals. But similar situation last night. They're up 2, I think. Yeah, they're up 2. LeBron had the court. If you can bear with me here, the court kind of shifted a little bit when he made his move coming off pick and roll. He spotted Bosh again in the same right-hand corner for 3. Bosh shoots the 3, makes it. They go up by 5. And people keep talking about, and LeBron mentioned it last night, and Chris Bosh mentioned it. LeBron makes the right play. I think that's what people. I don't know if that's what people have an issue with him because, the play against Indiana, he could have taken the ball to the hole and gotten fouled, or he could have, faded away and shot a jumper or whatever. But it was more about him making the right play. And, I tell people all the time, I think he's more Magic than he is Jordan, but he's a good combination of both. But play that he made because, again, that's the quote-unquote right play. And they kept talking about that last night in the press conference about making the right play. What's your take on LeBron's ability to make the best basketball play as opposed to the highlight spectacular type play?
You mean that you talking about the Indiana play or
well, the Indiana play and the play last night.
Oh, I mean, with the Indiana play, I would have wanted him to take that shot or draw the foul. Only time I won't have an issue him passing that ball in the corner 3 if that was Ray Allen right there. But that was Chris Bosh. So if I'm penetrating and I got Hubert and I got Paul George all on my back, I'm a go for the layup and try to draw the foul or try to get the and one or try to get the 2 points. And now if I'm driving to the rack, the same scenario, and that's Ray Allen over there with a wide open look, bam, I'm gonna dump it to my shooter. And I think they was down by 2, right? When they down by 2 on that point, yeah, I'm gonna dump it to Ray Allen. Let's get this win. Let's get out of here. That's just me. I mean, that's what I would expect LeBron to do. Chris Bosh in there, I mean, yeah, he can shoot the wide open 3. He's good enough to knock it down. But, I don't know if I want that to be my last shot when I'm like this close to the basket. I'm LeBron James. I'm 270, 280, 6'8", 6'8" plus, powerful. I would rather for him to take what?
B, let me ask you this, right? Because me and you, we hoop a lot, right? And in this scenario, I would be more like a LeBron because I'm like the point guard, and you would be like the Ray Allen, right? And my idea, like whenever I'm hooping, I can force that up, and that makes basketball more difficult. Even regardless if it's Bosh or Ray Allen, the person in that corner can shoot that 3, right?
Right.
As a basketball player, that's the easiest play. Like, we got the best shot. So I feel you, but again, I just feel like we are judging LeBron on a mentality that's not his. He's more PG than scorer.
Yeah, I still would have took it. Like I said, if it was a straight up shooter, I'm picking Ray Allen over Chris Bosh to shoot that wide open 3-pointer in the corner. And or if not, I'm taking up to the rack regardless. That's just me. But I wasn't criticizing him saying, "Oh, LeBron, you stupid," or "You da 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 da." It was just like, well, he felt that Bosh was wide open, which he was, and he had a good look, and he shot it. Now, if Bosh would have made that 3-pointer like he did the other night, people wasn't really dogging him. If Bosh would have missed those threes, then, to this morning they'd have been saying, "Oh, LeBron did it again. LeBron did it again."
But you know what, B? I think that speaks to the point of he can't win for losing. I mean, he made he made the best basketball play,
right,
and it worked out. And I mean, if Bosh hits that shot against Indiana, they ended in 5 as opposed to 6.
Exactly.
And I don't.
Yeah. Because I mean, cut you off, but Jordan did the same thing. Jordan did the same thing when he was double teamed. Guess who he gave it to? His shooter, Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr told him, "Look, I'm gonna be wide open. They're gonna come out and double team you." Jordan was double teamed like a mug. He passed it out to Kerr. Kerr hit the wide open, knockdown that's a smart basketball play. Now, if Kerr would have missed it, and back then before social network, they probably would have still been like, "Well, dang, Jordan should have took the shot." I don't think they would have dogged him out as much as we're dogging out LeBron right now. You know what I'm saying? But like FIFO, that was his shooter. Like, Steve Kerr is a shooter. So, that's a good basketball play to him to give it to his shooter, his knockdown shooter, because that's all Steve Kerr was good enough to do was shoot. He shoot the hell out that rock. Jordan gave it to him. He knocked down a wide open shot. LeBron James last night gave it to Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh knocked down a wide open 3. I mean, it's just good basketball play, man. I mean, Jordan did the same thing. Jordan did the same thing.
To me, this is what, again, like, LeBron passing up that type of shot is what makes LeBron the greatest player to me, because that's the epitome of making your teammates better. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say, you get a guy like a James Jones that doesn't get a lot of tick. He hits those type of shots. You have that confidence in him. You make that player better. And also, by being great yourself, getting other people open shots, you're making them better. You taking a wide open shot versus a contested shot should be a higher percentage for you. That's what LeBron does. On top of being efficient himself and getting 30 like it ain't nothing, and getting rebounds and playing 5 positions defensively. I don't know no other player in the history of the game that was able to do the things that he's able to do on the court. That
about it. So we will definitely talk coming, because this is a conversation. I'm sorry, Ken, did you want to get something in before I moved on to the next question?
Yeah. I remember it was against Detroit, and it was a Danielle Marshall 3. And he had a layup, and he passed it. That was the one time, I heavily criticized LeBron, but I got it. Because I sat back, even though I replayed that play over and over in my head, I think you always have to ask yourself this: what if the shot goes in? And it's the misses that we criticize the most.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at that Indiana play, when LeBron drove to the basket, he beat Paul George. Hibbert Kane slid over, but Hibbert jumped straight up. I don't think LeBron was going to get that call if he ran into Hibbert. So, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people saying, go get the foul. I don't think they're calling that foul on Hibbert because he went straight up. It's not like he's jumping sideways. So I think LeBron would have to make a very difficult shot in traffic against 2 or 3 people. So passing it out to Chris Bosh, when I saw the play develop and I saw him kick it out, I won't lie, I thought it was good. I thought that was a really good play because you're in a hostile environment. You go for the kill, and they went for the kill, and you understand, considering the circumstances that they endured through that game with LeBron having 5 fouls, you're lucky to even be in that position. So why not try to go for the kill and get it over with? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, look, I think it was the play to make. If you look at game 2, and I know we're probably going to talk about that in a minute, he did the same thing, but not only did he do it once, he did it twice. And the first time Bosh took the shot, he missed it. I was mad about that one. Then he made the second one. So, it's like FIFO saying, man, you make your teammates better by believing in them and giving them the confidence that they will make the next one because you keep giving them the rock. So that's all I got to say, man. I think sometimes we look at the fact that the shot is missed and not on whether or not on what would happen if the shot went in like it did last night. It's not like he had a wide open layup. Hibbert was there, and I don't think he was going to get that call.
Definitely. Those are some great points. I want to throw in a quick breaking news. Donald Sterling back in the news again. Donald Sterling has decided to pursue his $1 billion lawsuit against the NBA and the NBA's commissioner. What that means is the sale of the Los Angeles Clippers is now on hold. We'll be getting more information as it comes across, but as we know, has not signed off on the sale of the Clippers. I know that he put his wife in charge, and I saw an interview that Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, did on did on CNN yesterday, and he said that Sterling had pulled out of trying to sell the team before, and he's basically said, until we get it in writing that he's dropping the lawsuit and the sales are going to go through, we're going to continue our process. So it looks like it's headed for court. So who knows what's going to happen with the sale of the team and everything. Go ahead.
You know what, Kyle?
He's messing with him at this point.
Huh?
He's messing with the NBA at this point.
And you know what? That's exactly what I'm about to say. You don't make that much money by being a fool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Sterling played the NBA, if you ask me. If you look, because they were set to vote June 3rd, right? And a couple of days later, maybe that weekend prior to, they acted like they were just going to do whatever it was they needed to do to get the situation over. Shelly Sterling, I guess agreed to give up her shares, and Donald Sterling, played, the mental incapacitated game, and then, so now all of a sudden they proceeded like they were willing to sell the team. That halted the vote, and now, since the vote didn't take place, a week later or so, Sterling hit him with a lawsuit, and now everything is stopped.
Well, you know what's going to happen? The NBA is going to, and I think just when I saw that interview that Adam Silver did, what that to me was that he was prepared for the okie-doke, and they halted, like you said, they halted the meeting. But from what if you take his word from what these law experts are saying, the way that everything is written up, is that he's going to lose. Like, this is not a case. Now, what he can do and what he's probably trying to do is let this just play out in court and extend it and extend it and extend it. But what he's done is cost himself money, because now Ballmer may come back and say, well, you know what? I don't want it for $2 million. And what may happen is once it goes to the legal, and I'm not a lawyer, I just play one on TV. But once it goes to the legal standpoint of it, he's not going to make as much money from the sale, because the NBA could forcefully take the team from him, and then it would be deemed the NBA's team and not team. So he could have cost himself and his family and the family trust a whole bunch of money. Of course, we're going to get more and more information as it comes in, but like I said, that just came across the screen. Yeah, he's gonna drag it out. He's gonna drag it out, and it's gonna get drug out, and it's going to be a nightmare. But this is, I mean, he's 80 years old. He wants to stay in the NBA. He ain't going out like Willie Lump Lump. So, the phone number to call in, area code 646-478-0356. Again, 646-478-0356. You are locked in live to the best sports show on the internet right now. You're locked into Dead End Sports. I'm 12 Kyle, and I'm joined by my partners in crime. You know them from Dead End Hip Hop, B, Ken, and FIFO. Make sure that you pass the word. We're on tonight. And, if the series keeps going the way it is, we'll be on again next Monday night, because what we're trying not to do is compete against the NBA Finals. Obviously, we know that we have faithful listeners and faithful viewers, but at the same time, we know damn well that y'all ain't going to watch us and not watch the finals. I mean, so we decided to move it up just this week and possibly next week. Well, I guess we wouldn't move it up next week because the finals won't be over next week by this time. So yeah, this Monday tonight and next Monday we will be Monday at 9, and then we'll be back to our regular Tuesday night schedule at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Phenomenal game last night. Anybody? I'll start with you first, people. Give me your take on last night's game, man.
This is the reason why I picked Miami, man. Look. Matter of fact, this is the reason why I like having a show. I said, you know what? I damn near predicted everything that's happening. I definitely recall saying that Rashard Lewis was going to be key. He has been. I specifically recall saying that Kawhi Leonard, he's not going to be. There's none that he's going to be able to do. He's been gone for 2 games, and he's not going to do nothing the rest of the series. LeBron is going to be LeBron. D-Wade has to be 75%, which he hasn't even been, and they've split. And Bosh has stepped up. Bosh has been a little bit more consistent. And look, man, when you have LeBron, there's just nothing that you can do. There's just, I don't, like, me being a coach, I've coached basketball, I understand basketball, I play point guard. What do? Do you double team him? No, because he's a great passer and he can throw cross-court passes with the best of them on the line, in the pocket, to the corner, to the wing. It doesn't matter. So how do you defend LeBron? Do you give him space like you did last year? No, because now he's hitting on his jumper, especially the mid-range. I think he's shooting at like 57% right now. What do you give LeBron? Because you cannot take away everything. And whenever you try to take away one thing, LeBron is so special that he can make it up in other ways. So I don't care if you have the greatest team. They have the greatest player. And Spoelstra, over the years, has figured out a way to make the system work for his stars. And that's all we're seeing. Spoelstra is maximizing LeBron's talents. And LeBron keeps adding more to the pot. So, look, man, Miami's going to win this in 6, man. I said 7 last week. It's going to be 6 now. Because I think, and I told B last night, I think that Miami's going to win the next 2 in Miami.
No.
They're going to lose Game 5 in San Antonio and then come back to Miami and win it.
No way. No way, Greg. No way, Greg Pop letting the Spurs lose 3 straight games. No way.
It's not about Greg Popovich ain't out there guarding LeBron, B.
I'm talking about coaching wise. I'm talking about just from a coaching standpoint. I don't see. They're gonna split these next 2 games in Miami.
You know why I say no? Because what are you gonna do? You put Kawhi Leonard on him 1-on-1. Kawhi has been in foul trouble 2 straight games. You put Diaw on him. Then LeBron takes him outside. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to double team him now? Like, what are you going to – there's nothing you can do against – you cannot game plan against them, man. I don't know what you're going to do. LeBron is the only way that – is the only thing that could beat Miami. LeBron doesn't play well, they lose. LeBron has a LeBron game, and we're talking an average LeBron game. And D-Wade has a decent game, and Bosh has a decent – they're going to win. And if Rashard Lewis or another person – because Rashard Lewis has made more threes in the playoffs right now than Ray Allen. Ray Allen's been struggling. But we all know Game 7, Game 6, one of these games, Ray Allen's probably going to go off. So all I'm saying is this. LeBron's gonna be LeBron. D Wade at this point, I guess all you need is a 50% D Wade, and you need a 50% Boss, and you just need one other guy to hit some open threes. Man, Miami's gonna win this, man. They don't have a guy that can physically compete with LeBron James. And I've always said it. You want to build a championship team to really win the championship, you have to build it two ways. You either get a guy that can physically compete with LeBron, or you have to attack Miami's weaknesses, which is point guard and big man, and a physically dominant big man. Because Tim Duncan is not physically dominant; he's fundamentally dominant, and they're able to neutralize that with Bosh. Look, man, LeBron is this era's greatest player, and Popovich I admire him. He's a great coach. Look, they won 50-plus games 15 years, dog, in a row. I'm not taking nothing away from Pop, but there's nothing he can do against LeBron, man. He's not out there guarding him, and I don't care what scheme he come up with. He's not stopping him. It's LeBron's time. And Ken can attest to this, and I want Ken to go next because I said once LeBron wins his first, it's a LeBron era, man, and you can't stop this guy. You just can't stop him.
All right, what you got? People say what you go next.
To FIFO's last comment, let's wait until this is over, and then we'll talk about that. He did say that, but in order for that to be truthful, they have to win this series. Even though I did pick the Heat to win in 6, the first 2 games, the Spurs absolutely controlled the first 2 games. Miami controlled the games in spots. And the spots they did control the game, they were able to take the lead. And of course, we know what happened in Game 1 and in Game 2. They managed to slow it down to a point where they can get out of there with the win. But I still haven't seen Miami's stamp on the game just yet. They still haven't played, to me, Miami ball. So it looks like they're still trying to figure out what the Spurs are doing offensively. It's time to figure out, the Spurs' defense. That being said, the series still tied 1-1. And I felt that in order for Miami to win the series, they needed to split. And much like FIFO, man, I think that I like their odds of holding home court. But we'll see what happens with that. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back 2-2, and Miami wins the next 2 after that. But anyway, the funny thing about that game was I was watching Game of Thrones, so I didn't see the third quarter. I only saw the last 2 minutes or so of the third quarter when it was 69-66, and they were talking about LeBron put his foot, his stamp on the third quarter. I was like, 6-7. Then LeBron got off. LeBron had a great third quarter, but he didn't get off. LeBron got off in 51 seconds. When they went down 6 in like 51 seconds, in less than a minute, LeBron scored like 8 points. He hit a 3, he hit a jumper, and then he hit another 3, and the game flipped just like that. And, I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, damn, what do you do if a guy can come out and do that? In spite of all of that, it was still a back and forth of the game. But it's like I said before this series started. Chris Bosh has something to prove. And we have seen in the first 2 games, the bigs on the Spurs cannot guard Chris Bosh. You have a guy that can take you off. He's now taking guys off the dribble. You have to come out and guard him. So he's really versatile. And then if you want to press Miami like the Spurs tried to do, Chris Bosh can dribble the ball across the court. Because we saw him cross over Duncan, and he just got to the rim with these, and that was it. The game was over. So, and back to FIFO, man, like, Wade didn't look like he did much in that game, but he played within the game. He worked that game. So he didn't try to do too much. He just took and got whatever he wanted to get. He was 5 of 9, but we all know that at some point, what happens when LeBron and Wade have that game? And now that Chris Bosh have made himself a threat, it's going to present more problems for the Spurs because offensively, now all of a sudden the Heat are starting to develop more and more weapons. But I'm 100% with FIFO. Rashard Lewis and I told you guys, Rashard Lewis is the black Mike Miller in this series. And he's found his offense, and he's top 10 in 3-pointers made in NBA history. He's going to make his 3-pointers. Ray Allen is not just standing around on the perimeter shooting threes. Ray Allen is going to the rim. He's hamming it. Ray Allen is driving to the rim. Ray Allen looks like a completely different player. So offensively, everybody is doing something different than they did last year and they did in each series. And they're finding more and more parts of their game, and they're bringing it into this series. And we haven't seen Chalmers. We haven't seen Norris Cole yet. Birdman hasn't really played just yet. Miami has a whole other level from what I've seen that they can go to win this series. And I think we've seen the best of the Spurs up to this point. So it's up to Miami to just take it from here. It's up to them, man. It's up to them.
You know what, Ken? Just by the numbers, I think the last game last night, San Antonio shot 46% from 3. They out-rebounded Miami defensively and offensive rebounding, and they had more assists, and they still lost.
Yeah. Yeah, and we still haven't seen that Miami Heat game yet. So, that could be,
that's scary.
Another win. So.
And not even just a Miami Heat game, a LeBron staple game. He had a great one last night. But we haven't seen that whole other, nobody on this planet is anywhere near me type of game.
You know what? You're right, FIFO, because LeBron last night made 35 and 10 look easy. He had 35 and 10, and it didn't even seem like it. So we'll see, man. It's been a great series. I've enjoyed both games so far. Outside of the first game, I thought that was ridiculous.
Anything you want to add to it, B?
Oh, Spurs and 7 still. I'm still sticking with my damn pick.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls who listen, understand that B is the only one of us who picked the Spurs. So, I give him props for sticking with.
I love the sweet science that the Spurs are doing, man. I love it, man. I love they great team basketball. When I watch the Spurs, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of every time when me and FIFO go to the court, right? And then we see these young guys or whatever playing ball, and they like, okay, yeah, we fast in them. We better in shape than them. But then me and FIFO, we be picking, rolling, getting easy buckets. They getting frustrated. They looking like, what the hell is going on? And all me and FIFO doing is shaking our head like, yep, all right, you know what time it is, B. All right, yeah, it's just basketball. All we doing is playing basketball. So when I see the Spurs playing a great basketball sounds, I'm like, yes, I love it. I love seeing stuff like that. So that's why I'm rooting for the Spurs, because I think of me and people out there playing against these 19, 18-year-olds, and we just all it is just basic basketball, and we just killing them. Layup. So,
but you know what, B? And I feel you. Trust me. I like watching the Spurs. At least, in the last couple of years, more so than when Duncan was more the prime guy. But be out there, we be whooping ass sometimes, and then sometimes here comes this one athletic dude that can't nobody stop, and we just lose no matter what we do. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that's LeBron, man. And San Antonio just doesn't have anybody. What's the adjustment? I don't think that they can adjust because there's nothing you can do to stop that man. That's the baddest man on the planet on the hardwood. You know what I'm saying? With a basketball. There's nothing you can do, man. I think KD's kind of close. When you're talking about hey, if LeBron get 30, we need you to get 30 something too. He could do that, but can't nobody outplay LeBron. And to Ken's point too, how easy the game comes to him. I haven't watched every great player in real life, but fortunately, I have been able to watch LeBron. And I tell you, after watching him, I'm watching it. I'm sitting the game. I'm like, man, this is kind of boring, man. They whooping Atlanta's ass or whatever. I look at the stats. This man got 28, 7, and 6. I'm like, what in the hell did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy for him, man. LeBron's just that guy. I don't think San Antonio can do anything with it.
Yeah, and to what B was saying, man, it hurts me to pick against the Spurs because and I can see the Spurs winning. I won't disagree with that because the way they played, I can see them winning the series. But yeah, it kind of pains me. Oh, better yet, it wouldn't shock me if they won in 7. But anyway, it pains me because I'm such a Spurs guy. I've always been a Spurs guy, and FIFO and Rod will tell you, man, back in 06, 07, 08, 09, when the Spurs would always go, get in the playoffs, and I would be the only one over there talking about the Spurs. And I know, I probably sounded crazy to them because they were so fundamentally sound and they just looked boring. I was like, yeah, I got the Spurs, man. The goddamn Spurs. Gotta win the thing. Spurs is 6, Spurs is 7. And, and that's how I probably sounded to them because who the hell was liking the Spurs? Not a lot of damn people were fucking with the Spurs until they started playing the Heat in the finals. Then everybody loved the Spurs. Or Tim Duncan's in the twilight of his career, and then all of a sudden people want to admire him from afar. But anyway, man, so yeah, but yeah, man, I just think that they got 2, man, and they know how to win, and they don't wilt under pressure. But we have 5 more games, maybe 4.
Yeah,
we don't know. We'll see. It's still a toss-up from here, to me.
Yeah, you on?
Yeah, man. Oh wow.
Wow, Australia in the building.
Oh no, man. Australia's dope, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever had someone off much. Thanks, we appreciate it, man.
Wow.
So I gotta ask you, you're in Australia. What time is it in Australia right now? Oh wow.
Damn.
Oh, midday. Okay, so you're already into Tuesday. Damn. Wow, that's what's up. That's what's up. What you got for us tonight, man? Or today?
Uh-huh.
hmm hmm Okay. Okay. So you think the Spurs have given Miami their best shot?
Wow, yeah. I
That's
can't disagree
that's a
with that.
great analogy. What did you think about game 1, James? What were your thoughts about LeBron cramping up? Did you have any problem with the criticism that LeBron got, or do you think it was just? Okay.
Mm.
Damn. hmm
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what? I think to your point, and something Kyle said earlier. There's no way in hell LeBron would want to come out of that game with the game with the game still in balance. Why would he, fake an injury, or why would he not do everything he can to get back, onto the court to try to win this game? The man's all about winning right now, and to what you said earlier, James, is this. B used to ask me throughout the year, throughout the season, whether or not Miami was going to get back to the finals, and much like you. I didn't have a clear answer. I didn't know. It was really hard to tell because getting to the finals 4 straight years in a row is tough. And Bill tell you, I had no answer. But yeah, and here they are, and they just turned it up in the playoffs, man, and they're just winning games. And however they find a way to win, they go out and do it. So yeah, I feel you on that. I was the same way.
Nope. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I think that's a great point, James. And I think that's a sign of a champion. I mean, obviously, still a lot of basketball left to be played, but like you said, that speaks volumes about where Miami is and where they have been and where they're trying to go. You got anything else for us tonight, man? Any other questions? Anything you else to talk about before we get you out of here? Okay.
Oh man. Hey, can you believe James? He actually got voted. He got voted. I think he got a couple of votes for defensive team. I was like, what? Who the hell voted him for all defensive squad? Like he plays no defense at all. I didn't get that one either. Yeah, your guess.
I think his agent put him on there.
Yeah, your guess is just as good as mine, man. Because I was scratching my head, and I think Roy Hibbert shouldn't have been on there because I thought Al Jefferson had a beastie year, and he took the Charlotte Bobcats to the playoffs. I thought he should have been on that All NBA team because I'm like, okay, you look at Hilbert's numbers and it's like not good, but you look at Al Jefferson who was balling, who took an underachieving Charlotte Bobcats to the playoffs. So I mean that alone should say something at least. But I agree with you on James Harden. That James Harden, I agree with you 100%.
What else you got for us? Yeah, you didn't say no from no.
Man, you know what I have to say about that? James Harden is his first year in the NBA, so that doesn't mean much of anything, man. Look, Joakim Noah, he's a baller, man. The guy can play. He had a great year. Top 10, man. I don't think he's top 10. I think you're reaching with that one. You're a fan, but yeah, man, the guy can play, man. I love his energy. I love his spirit. He does a lot on the court for his team. But yeah, you shocked the hell out of me when you said Joakim Noah in your top 10. That came out of nowhere.
And you know what? Because I think I read his list on the air. He had a dope ass list, man. But yeah, Joakim was like the last name he had listed. We were like Joakim.
Joakim been balling this year, though. I give him that. Yeah, Joakim been balling this year. I got you. That's what's up. I feel you on that, man. It's all about that desire.
You got anything else, man? Hey, well, James, we definitely appreciate you taking the time out to call us, man. We definitely appreciate the love and keep supporting us. Keep supporting Dead End Hip Hop as well, man.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, go check them out, man. Check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
Let us know what you think if you're on Twitter. All right, man.
All right, James. We'll holler at you, man. Peace. Phone number James called area code 646-478-0356. We worldwide, man. We are worldwide. Reaching Australia. Shout out to James, man. He hit us up a couple weeks ago and said he was gonna call in. I'm glad he got a chance to call in. We only got about time's flying. Got about 30 minutes left in the show. I wanted to jump to let's touch on there's a new coach in New York City, and his name is not Rex Ryan. Derek Fisher. If the name sounds familiar, you know him. He's the Laker great. Spent the last couple of seasons with the Oklahoma City Thunder, including this past season. He just retired. Well, I don't even has he put in his retirement papers? I don't even know if Derek Fisher's put in his retirement papers as of yet. But it was announced late this afternoon that he is finalizing the deal on a new contract to be the next head coach of the New York Knicks.
Nope. Nope. Um, Man, he's a rookie coach, and we saw what happened with Jason Kidd this year. Eventually, he turned it around. I'll give him his props for that. But I don't think that Carmelo, looking at that, would want to take a chance with Fisher as his head coach with the roster they currently have right now.
Right.
So with the kids situation, they had a better roster than the Knicks do. So them turning it around with the veterans and the level of talent they had collectively as a unit, because some of those guys are in their prime or past their prime, but as a unit with Brooke Lopez, Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, and they was were deep on the bench. They're just a better roster to me than the Brooklyn Nets. So with that veteran leadership of a Paul Pierce and a Kevin Garnett, they were able to turn it around, on the second half of the season. The Knicks, with their roster and a rookie head coach, I don't think that that's a situation Carmelo would like to see himself in, considering the failures that they underwent last year. So now you're really starting over from scratch, unless they make some significant changes to the roster. And we all know, considering their situation right now, that looks that doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. So no, I don't think that's going to help keep Melo there.
No doubt, no doubt. What about you, FIFA? What's your take? What do you think is going to ultimately happen with Melo?
Oh shit! I God damn it! I made a mistake and hung up the phone. Oh, I'm calling back.
All right.
uh,
Key man, I just can't see him coming back and to a rebuilding process, which is what is going to take place in New
all
York.
right, I'm back.
And it's it's unfortunate because I think and I know Phil wants to get his people in there because your new GM, that's one of the reasons why he got rid of Mike Woodson. But I can't see Carmelo sticking around for. I mean, what, to play with J.R. Smith and run the triangle with J.R. Smith? I just and Amari. Nah, and what's unfortunate is for the Knicks is that they just don't have the draft picks. Some teams can move. I mean, this is a pretty good draft, all things considered. As far as the NBA is concerned, it's a pretty good draft. They don't have the draft picks to move around, and that they're not as cash strapped as they were in years past, but they don't have the ability to move around financially, and if you're another free agent, are you going to go try and play with Melo when you get no guarantees that he's going to be there? It's a mess. I mean, hey, Derek Fisher, more power to you. I mean, and I think it's going to be tough too for him because no matter what, I mean, we all know this in the city of New York. It's they have high ball should be, and when they don't get it, it's a rebuilding process. And I don't know how patient Knicks fans will be, and I mean obviously the specter of Phil Jackson and one of Phil's disciples coaching the team is something that's big for them, but at the same time, it's not going to be able to help them out on a January road trip to the West Coast. He's the GM, he's not the coach, so. Can guys come in and buy into what defense is talking about? I don't know, but it's gonna be interesting to see because I don't know how many roster moves you can make with the roster. We will be coming back with most of the team that they had last year, this past. So they, didn't make the playoffs. They weren't far from the playoffs, but I mean, they weren't a threat to anybody. And if they'd made the playoffs, they would have gotten knocked out in the first round anyway. So. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Phone number to call in, area code 646-478-0356, 646-478-0356. I am your host, 12 Kyle. This is the Dead End Sports Show, joined by my partners. You know them from Dead End Hip Hop, B, Ken, and FIFO. Hit us up, 646-478-0356. Next question I have. Here recently, late last week, there was a report that came out, and which eventually aired on Outside the Lines about the university basketball team in North Carolina. As you all know, Rashad McCants, who was
2005
championship team, he was the second leading scorer. Rashad McCants came out and said, "Hey." They basically told him that all he had to do was just show up and play. He said in a documentary that aired on Outside the Lines that he, in so many words, did not have that he took one class to stay eligible, and the title of the class was African American Studies. In that particular class, he did not show up for class. He said the only thing you had to do was the end of the year, turn in a research paper. And fine. Problem was, according to Rashad McCants, he didn't write the paper. He said his tutor wrote the paper. And he said that was a well-known fact throughout the athletic department was that, that was a class that you could take to stay eligible because it was an easy A. He also revealed in his in a documentary that, his grades, he said he had C's and D's and an F. So football. They just recently had an academic scandal where it was widespread cheating and things of that nature, and they're under investigation as well, an independent investigation as well. So all kind of academic issues are going on right now at North Carolina, or had been going on at North Carolina. Definitely a black eye school. So the question I have, and I'll start with you, FIFO, as far as this fiasco, because McCants is, I mean, we've heard former players and former athletes at schools come out and say, well, hey, you know, I did this at school, or they didn't do this for me at school, or what have you. The question I have, like I said, I'll start with you, FIFO. Who do you blame for the fiasco at UNC? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No doubt, no doubt. What about you, Ken? Who takes the fall for this? I mean, Roy Williams issued a statement. Roy Williams was, I don't think Roy Williams initially recruited Rashad McCants. If I'm not mistaken, it was Brad. I want to say Matt Doherty. I'm sorry, but they obviously won the national championship under Roy's watch. So who's at fault, man? The school officials like Roy Williams, the coaches, or Rashad McCants individually?
Man, why McCann snitching, dog? Um, why is he snitching? You know, that's what I want to know. What's his angle? Is he suing the school? What's his purpose behind going public with this information? 'Cause I haven't had a chance to really read up on the story, so this is my first time hearing the details of it. Is he suing them for something?
No, he's not suing them. But here's the thing: he didn't get his degree there. If I'm not mistaken, he is playing ball overseas, so he's still playing. But if you know anything about Rashad McCants, he's a little off. I mean, he's literally like a little off. Not Ron Artest off, but but he's a little off. I mean, he went as far as to tell a reporter that the reason why he wasn't in the NBA anymore was because of Roy Williams. And I don't know how your college coach can affect you not being in the NBA. I mean, at some point in time, you got to look at yourself and say, hey, maybe I'm not as talented as I need to be in the NBA. But it's bad, Ken. It's real. The outside lines, I'm pretty sure you can find it on ESPN's website, but it aired Sunday, and he snitching ain't even the word. I mean, he dropped dime real bad.
This is problematic. For this reason right here. the problem with what the university did in this situation that they're that McCants is exposing, is preventing players from having careers outside of the NBA. When in the case of Rashad McCants' situation, he doesn't have one. So what do you fall back on afterwards? So in the case of McCants, he's able to go overseas and play overseas and probably, hopefully, make the right decisions with his money and be able to sustain his stuff after his playing career is done. But what has happened up to this point is, what if he wasn't able to do that? What if he had an injury? What if whatever this university or whatever Matt Doherty told him, he built the rest of his life on those promises that were made, and he neglected to obtain an education that would be able to help him out in case he blew out a knee, like Sean Livingston did when he was playing, right? So I gotta look at, even though look, I was joking about the snitching a little bit, but much like I gotta look at the league, man, because not the league, but these colleges, because you are hampering players and athletes from building sustainable careers outside of professional sports. Because we all know the percentages of college players that make it to the NBA and make it to the NBA have careers is slim to none, right? So when you bring these guys in, you give them free education, but you don't give them a free education. You give them some boo-boo class that they can go take and go play and live this lifestyle. You're affecting those players, and as a default, you're affecting the communities that they don't have a chance to contribute to, or whatever systems that they ultimately sometimes end up siphoning off of, because they were trying to build a career off of a hope and a dream, a wolf ticket. So the universities, man, and we've all known, we've had the discussion on Dennis Sports multiple times on how the universities are, using these teenagers to build these enterprises up. And one of my arguments has always been they have a career in the education. But in this particular case, Rashard McCants don't have that. So all of a sudden, they've used this guy to win a national championship in 2005. And what did he get out of it outside of a brief career in the NBA and a career overseas? So we all know what's going on. I would like to see the league, toughen up and put their foot down. But they make too much money, man. They're not going to do anything. They're going to expect this to blow over as usual.
I'm sorry, I got kind of sidetracked watching this damn PlayStation 4 E3. But yeah, I think, I'm with Ken, man. Like, why are you like snitching? Like, I thought like when you get into this program, it's supposed to be like a type of brotherhood that you're supposed to have, amongst the university. Of course, I mean, when this happened, I was like, well, okay, this probably been going on for way before we was born in colleges, with athletes being a top athlete in your football team or your basketball team. A lot of these dudes probably didn't even touch a pen or pencil throughout their years of playing for their university. So it's kind of like it's kind of like almost like a cult. It's like, why would you snitch on your own cult when you know that we know this been going on for all this years? So it's almost like Ken said, it's like, what is your motive out of it for coming up and stepping up and saying this damn near 10 years later since y'all won a national championship? Why would you bring this up, now? Why not bring this up when it was happening? If you want to bring more awareness to the, to what's going on in the university. So my thing is like, dude, don't snitch. Why are you snitching? It's supposed to be a brotherhood, like between you, your coach, the university, everybody. So I don't like the fact that he's snitching. Like I said, when I heard about this, I'm like, okay, what? Tell me something I don't know about what's going on with the athletes and high-profile athletes playing at the university. So it was just kind of like, damn, dude, you gonna snitch on your university like that after they, gave you a scholarship, doing all this for you to protect your name and stuff, and then you gonna snitch on them. So I don't like it. I agree with Ken. I want to know what's his motive behind this. What is he seeking for snitching?
That's true. That's a good point. What about you, FIFO? What's your take on it, man?
I think I already said my piece.
Can't hear
Oh,
you,
you did? I'm
people.
sorry.
Yeah, you already asked people. I can't hear him.
Okay, my
You
bad, my
already.
bad. I'm
Yeah.
yeah, my bad. I'm in and out. Doing so many things over here. I think it's unfortunate, man. I don't know at this point. I don't know his motive behind it because normally, like you said, Ken, normally there's a motive behind it. Normally there's somebody has something to say, or you got some type of angle. There's a lawsuit pending or something like that. In this case, man, it doesn't appear that Rashad McCants wants anything from the University of North Carolina. The athletic director even came out and made a statement saying, "Hey, I would prefer to speak with him as opposed to him speaking outside the lines if he wanted to talk about anything that happened when he was here at the University of North Carolina because it's an ongoing investigation. They want to get to the bottom of it. Um, I'll say this, man. I don't it's a lot of people that's going to blame Rashad McGee. I blame the university, man. I blame the university. I blame Roy Williams because I know for a fact that there are guys in just about every program, especially football where they don't go to class. But the thing about it is, if you got 100 student athletes on a team, on a football team, it may be a little bit hard to police. But it's only 12, 15 guys on a basketball team. And for it to be a situation where this guy wasn't going to class and was taking a specific class so that he could pass to stay eligible, I mean, I got a problem at it in the aspect of, from North Carolina's perspective, they're the adults. So when you're the adult, you have to know better and do better. You can't put this in. It can't be incumbent upon the 19 or 20-year-old child. Now, I'm not saying that Rashad McCants and any other kid that was at North Carolina is absolved from that because they know what they were doing. That being said, universities making money hand over fist. One of my boys we got into this discussion, and he said, well, Rashad McCants was the 14th player drafted in the league. Why is he making no? He benefited from it. North Carolina benefited from it. It was a win-win. And I said, well, no, it's not a win-win. I said, because eventually he's not going to be able to play ball. Eventually he's not going to have an education. So, what's he going to fall back on? How is he going to be marketable outside of his basketball prowess? What can he do? And I'm not saying that Rashad McCants could be a rocket scientist for all I know, but you just don't know. We got a caller. Let me jump to the line real quick. Right here in the A404. You're on the air. What's your name? Where you calling from? What up? What up? What up? Raw Dog Buffalo. What's up, man? Right, right, right. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
hmm
True. Mhm. I remember we talked about it. Right.
Hmm.
Mhm. Right. 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 And that's a problem because what happens when your child, and it could have been that situation like that for McCants, wherein he's playing. eh, mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Right. And that's how it's got to be, and that's what you're talking about, just taking responsibility for it. But man, we up against the time, man. Raw, man, as always, man. Thanks for calling in, man. I told you we was gonna talk about it, man, and I knew you wanted to get on, so I'm glad you did.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
I know you big on education, so I know you wanted to get in on that. Hey, one love, man. Thanks for calling in, Raw.
Appreciate
Appreciate it. Phone number Raw called area code 646-478-0356. Man, we get notification. We got about 90 seconds left in the show, man. Gotta thank my man Raw Dog for calling in. Shout out to my man James for calling in all the way from Australia. Appreciate the love, appreciate the love, appreciate the love. Um, we're going to be back next Monday just because of the NBA Finals. Because, like I said, we don't want to compete against the NBA Finals. But the great part about being back next week is that we'll have two more games to talk about. Um, so we'll be talking about Game 3 and Game 4, and we will see if me and FIFO and Ken are right and B is wrong. Because he says he's sticking with the games with San Antonio in 7. So we'll see what happens. Um, Once again, big shout out to my man Modest Media for tying the knot this past weekend. Make sure that you support Dead End Sports, Dead End Hip Hop. Check out those videos. Pass the word on both. Pass the word, pass the word, pass the word. So like I said, we'll be back next Monday right here, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're still going to keep trying to do this Google Hangout. We'll have it up and running. I don't know how much recorded tonight or not, but it's all good. Nevertheless, that's going to do it for this week, man. For Kent, for B, for FIFO, I'm your host, 12 Kyle. We'll holler at you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.
And stop pitching to Big Poppy.
Big Poppy killed him last night.